Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
This is our YouTube channel. Get in on it now. Subscribe. It's blowing up. We get the football season started.
Yeah, you better get in on it. Also, the podcast below in the description. Subscribe.
Gruden versus Matt Rule, John. Let me check the historical data on this. Oh, Gruden's never coached against Baylor. Or where was he before? Lincoln University?
Temple. One thing they do have in common, Guy, don't forget, Dave Tepper gave this guy like $70 million.
Couple of rich guys face. Is this the richest matchup in the NFL this week?
I mean, it's a combined $170 million, I think, coaching matchup. That's unless like Nick Saban, Urban Meyer level money, right? I mean, that's
Urban's not coaching though. I mean,
well, I know. I'm saying when they did, a couple years ago.
Oh yeah. But
maybe
mean,
a Harbaugh
Saban, 10, but he didn't have it over 10 years.
Yeah, this might be the most expensive coaching matchup in the history of the league.
Wow. All right.
Maybe Belichick, Andy, I think we're probably up there too, I think Belichick makes like 20.
Yeah, okay. But it's maybe the richest week one coaching matchup. And not
it's
richest.
Be up
it's
there.
not like what their bank has in it, but just what papered contracts. What's papered right now like that? What's papered?
Well, Guy, John's Corona. He had Monday night. John's been making a lot of money for a long time.
Yeah. Well, if we start talking about historical salaries, then it's a different conversation.
John's got some cash.
But it doesn't matter. You don't get any excuses this week because Matt Rule's got a big contract. Because what you got coming up, New Orleans, at New England, Buffalo, at KC, Tampa, at Cleveland, at the Chargers. I could read their whole schedule. You could argue maybe we would talk about it at the Jets, but as you pointed out to me before the podcast, the Jets beat them last year in a must-win game. Miami at home, maybe that's the easiest game on their schedule. But this is like the second, air quotes, easiest game on the schedule. It's a road game, but still. For what they have coming up, if they want to be a playoff team this year, which isn't it time? Isn't it time to make the playoffs?
Do you remember a stretch where a guy it's the natural progression of a coach once you start winning in college or the pros, that as you win, you get hype, right? Sean McVay, especially when you're a little younger and have a little bit of a personality. Sean McVay had a 2-year stretch where he became a rock star, but he earned it. He made the playoffs for a team that had been shitty. He got to the Super Bowl. He was good looking. It was easy. He kind of reminded people of Gruden. Lincoln Riley, I think, is really going through that now, wouldn't you say? Like the hype train on Lincoln Riley, like you just say Lincoln Riley's name, it's universally positive and just like, I'd want that guy as my coach. Could we hire that guy as my coach? I want that guy as my coach. Gruden, we haven't seen this in a long time. When a stretch of almost a decade where he did not coach a game and the hype grew, especially the last 5 years, was borderline out of control of just every team wanted him. I mean, whether he was playing him or not, the colleges that were going after him would have taken him, right? If he would have told USC or Tennessee, I will be your coach, they would have hired him. And whether he was playing them to draw up his, salary with ESPN, whatever, I think it was human nature to not somewhat buy into the hype because the way society works now, probably more than ever, just technology and stuff, you forget about, by the time it was 2015, unless you're a Bucks fan, no one was thinking about how shitty he was in 07, right? We were just, Gruden, now fuck, I'd want him. Look at this guy, Chucky, he'd be badass. The Colts are trying to get him, Michigan, Tennessee. I'm like, this guy's going to kick ass. We all thought he was going to kick ass. When the Raiders hired him, and when they didn't let Haberman Middlecoff go to the press conference, or Greg Papa.
People forget.
People forget. I thought it was. Now I didn't think they were going to come in and kick ass year one, but I thought he was a really good coach because the guy basically bought into the hype. I don't think it's really arguable up until this point. The first 2 years have been pretty underwhelming. I think if you polled the league, if we did one of those Mike Sandoz, top 30 tiers, but we just did an article on just John Gruden. Do you think John Gruden gets too much hype? Do you think John Gruden is overpaid or one of those? I think it would be a pretty polarizing article, right?
Yeah.
And I'd say up to this point,
maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't be polarizing. Maybe everyone would agree.
Yeah, they're just not that great of a coach. And I think this year he's completely flushed the roster, right? He's got all of his own guys, beside maybe his quarterback, but he's chosen to stay with Derek. He's got his own GM. They make kind of crazy personnel moves, right? They trade a third-round pick. They sign a backup quarterback that's not on injury reserve. They just, whatever, but they just do whatever John wants to do. Like, it is kind of time in 2020 not to win the Super Bowl, not to win 14 games in this Corona year, but, like, make a 7th wild card, right?
I got one for you. Finish second place in the AFC West. Like, first place is pretty locked up, but second place has been wide open the 2 years he's been the head coach, and they finished in 4th and in 3rd.
Well, in back-to-back years, the Chargers and the Denver Broncos both drafted really high. So isn't this the year, like, it's not like neither one of those two teams, well, is it fair to say, probably has more established talent on both teams? Their quarterback, like, Drew Lock? We don't know much about him.
You're saying the Raiders have more established talent than the Chargers?
No. I'm saying those two teams at other positions have more star power that have proven themselves, that are highly paid, than the Raiders. Definitely the Chargers do.
Denver has one
Miller.
guy that's be number one on both teams, right?
They have the safety Simmons, who you got franchise, who's a big-time player. Melvin Gordon's been a consistent good player in the league. Philip Lindsay's made a Pro Bowl just like Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd put him in that category, though.
Sutton's established more
players.
than any guy with the Raiders. I'm just saying, it's not like Denver has they got Bradley Chubb, they drafted really high, who had double-digit sacks, tore his ACL last year. They got good players. But you're right. Like, maybe that is just whatever you want to say about Gruden. This is the year. Finish second in the division. Finish second. Right? Just finish second. Can you finish second?
Is usually now with an extra wild card. That means they finished third last year. They won 9 games. So won 7 games. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So go win 9 games, and you could be a playoff team. And that's not spectacular. No one goes, I pay $10 million a year for 9 wins. But whatever. We're not saying that. We're just saying take a step. Be in the playoffs. That's what we're saying. Be in the playoffs.
And which you brought up that schedule. It's tough, man.
Which means
that early schedule is
but
really
it means
hard, guy.
if you win 9 games this year, you'd like to say they win 10 games. But if you win 9 games, it means they've played in some big games and shown up, won them.
Yeah.
Because there's not really any gimmies on this schedule.
Do you think he eventually, or is it's not even fair to compare him? Like, do you ever have to beat Kansas City?
No.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
It's shitty, but you just sorry they got Patrick Mahomes. That sucks. Damn.
Yeah, it doesn't even feel like they have a chance when they go into that game, do they? Because the one time they did feel like they had a chance last year when the Chiefs were kind of reeling and they were 6-4, they got blown out. Derek threw pick sixes, and it was just like, what are we doing?
But it's not like the Chiefs are a one-man machine.
No, they're just way better. Andy's better. The whole thing. They're just better. But you're right. I think it just comes down to can you just finish above? And it's not just about beating them head-to-head, because we've seen them beat the Broncos. We've seen them beat the Chargers. You guys played the same schedules. So, like, they're clearly beating teams that you're not beating. Like, so if you're both playing the Jets or you're both playing, the Jags or whatever, you got to win that game. Because you're losing that game, they're beating them, and that's why you're finishing in the last place or in third place to make the playoffs. And Phillip Rivers is gone. And now, granted, I'd say it feels like just the last couple of years, the Raiders actually played pretty well against Phillip Rivers. Like, he felt like he was pretty shitty against them. Drew Lock, we'll see. I mean, I think Drew Lock's gonna be pretty good, but that's a major.
The point is, the door is open right now.
Yeah. Do you feel good about them finishing second in this division? Because I don't.
No, I don't feel good about it, but I also don't feel good about Denver finishing second or the Chargers finishing second. Now, because to your point, if the Raiders' schedule's hard, that means Denver's schedule's hard, and that means the Chargers' schedule's hard too. So I don't feel good about them finishing second, but I don't feel any better about those other two teams either.
Well, Guy, I think they both play right.
So maybe I do kind of feel okay about
they play the NFC and AFC South, and those, or excuse me, they play the NFC South. So that's, Carolina's the only easy team. I would say Atlanta, especially for the Raiders, is not an easy team given that they throw it so well. And then their AFC division is who?
Their AFC division is the East.
Which, probably the division you'd pick, right, of the three. Because you'd say the
Yeah,
Dolphins are
I
bad,
think
the
so.
Jets are bad, and the Patriots just have a lot going on. And the Bills, they're not exactly,
beat
they're
them.
not the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think the key.
Maybe I do okay. Maybe then as we're talking, maybe I feel a little better about them finishing second. I like the Chargers. I've enjoyed, I mean, maybe their upside is there. I don't know, but it feels like they can't have any injuries in LA.
Well, can you tell me this, guy? Do you have confidence that of the NFC South and the AFC South? So what is that? 8 total games. Can you go 4-4? Can you beat Carolina? Can you beat Atlanta? Can you beat
AFC
the
East,
Jets?
yeah.
Or the East? Can you beat the upset
So-
one team?
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to win 2 games in the NFC South. Is that Falcons game at home?
I don't know, schedule up. But yeah, I think the Falcons feel like a bad matchup for the Raiders. All 3 of the AFC or the NFC South teams feel like a bad matchup to me.
So you're going to beat New England, the Jets, and the Dolphins? Why? The Jets would be like, why are you beating us? We beat you last year.
Well, exactly.
So the
That's
answer-
where, to me, eventually, like when you turn a corner as a franchise, and to kind of for Gruden to get some of his juice back, like, do they have an upset in them? Like, can they beat the Bills? Can they beat Tampa? Can they beat the Saints? In one of those 3 games, can they win one of those 3 games? I mean, 2 of them, they get obviously the Saints at home.
Jack Del
They
Rio's
get
not
the
walking through that
Buccaneers at
door.
home, and they get the Bills at home. I mean, they get some hard games at home. Now, I know there's no fans, and obviously they've
But are the casinos open? Road team?
casinos are open, but none of these
Get
teams
into trouble?
are staying close. Yeah, they ain't.
Do they get the Browns at home? Is Odell Beckham coming to town? Nah, it's a road game. Damn.
They get the Dolphins at home. I mean, so it's just, to me, you can't ask much more. Like, if you were going to get the Saints, the Bucks, Atlanta, and Carolina, you would choose to get the Bucks and Saints at home, right? Corona or non-Corona. So can you upset one of those 2 teams?
Yeah.
I would lean no. But that's part of being a good team, is you
But
eventually
we haven't
do.
even seen, like, we are assuming a lot of things with Tampa here, right?
Yeah, but they just have better players. I mean, that's
Yeah,
not
well-
arguable. And they have a better coach. He's proven in recent memory to be a better coach.
Yeah. All right. I think they can make the playoffs this year. I think it's going to be hard as hell. It's not a prediction, but I think they can. If
Yeah,
they don't,
I think they have a team that can compete for the playoffs. I would not pick them to make the playoffs.